One of the concepts I learned and found the most interesting in the first 4 chapters of our textbook is the fundamental attribution error on page 84. When I first read about the concept a couple weeks ago, I realized that I already knew what this was, I just didn't realize there was a term for it. I realized what this was because I have a tendency to make that error. However, my husband has a greater tendency to make it, and he does it quite often, so I laughed when I first read about it because I was like, oh my goodness, this is what he does. He once got bumped in the shoulder when we were getting off of an elevator by a man, and he proceeded to go on and on about that man's character, and he said, oh, I bet, that guy was a jerk, and I bet he's, one of those bitter, unhappy old men all the time, and he's that kind of person that's rude to people, and doesn't tip at restaurants, and is mean to his wife, and all this stuff, and I just kind of sat there laughing because I'm thinking, you have no idea who this man is, what his character was, what the situation was. Was he getting off the elevator quickly and he was in a hurry because something terrible had happened and he didn't even realize he bumped you? Or, did he think he said sorry? Did he think you bumped him? I mean, you have no idea. And but he was convinced that that person was just a jerk all the time, and that was just his character. He also does this a lot when he's driving. If somebody is a slow driver or they're switching lanes a lot and they're being kind of reckless, he has a tendency to say, well, that person's so impatient, or that person doesn't know how to drive, and he'll sometimes say things that don't even make sense with their driving, with the situation. He'll start criticizing their character, and all the while they're in their car. He has no idea who it is, but he'll say things, and I'm thinking to myself, that really doesn't even make sense because they're just driving slow. You don't know what the reason is. Maybe it's an older person. You don't know, but he'll start saying something about how their character. And he assumes that's how they are because they're doing something that frustrates him and he's not taking into account the situation, which is what that fundamental attribution error is. And I know I have a tendency to do it as well, so now that I know that there is a term for it and a concept and I've learned it, I will notice it more when I do it and also when he does it and others do it as well. And I think I'm actually going to teach it to my husband so that that's what he knows he's doing now. He's not just making up. I used to tell him he's making up somebody's life story. I'd say, somebody bothers you and you just like to make up their whole life story, don't you? And he kind of, oh yeah, I know, I do that. But now I'm going to tell him he's actually making the fundamental attribution error.